GD Bakshi and Sushant Sareen. We have Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao at the start. General Qureshi is joining us in some time along with Maroof, Raza. So, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, my first question to you, sir, why did your position change in 4 months on Hafiz Saeed? Air Marshal Abid Rao, can you hear me? Can you hear me now, sir?
No, your question got interrupted.
Thank you.
Yes, I can hear you now.
I'll repeat. Sir, why Marshal Rao, why has Pakistan changed its position on Hafiz Saeed in the last 3 months?
Well, again, you've been missed on your last part of the thing. But let me tell you about Hafiz Saeed. The latest book by Jaswant Singh, India at Risk, is an eye-opener to Pakistanis as well as to Indians as to where have these two states gone wrong right from 1947. So please read that. It will give a lot of answers to these queries that you raised in these
I'm not
programs.
talking about a book. I'm talking about facts. And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because we know that he is using the situation in Pak-occupied Kashmir for exploiting and manipulating the local population against India in the wake of a natural disaster. That's why I'm asking you the question.
Because till the time India government, the media will continue to treat the symptoms, the main disease will never disappear.
Have you no shame that even at a point of time, sir, have you no shame and even at a point of time when the people of Jammu and Kashmir have been ravaged, when so many of them are homeless, when hundreds of thousands of people are being rescued by the brave Indian Armed Forces, General GD Bakshi, at this point of time, one would have expected at least some empathy, if nothing else, from the Pakistani envoy. But that smirk of his when he says he's a free man, who's free to go wherever he wants.
Let me tell you,
the fanning of hatred at a time when there has been a natural calamity in the region,
water aggression,
sir, is unacceptable.
Is a feeling,
sir, the fanning
by
of hatred.
all Pakistanis. Sir, let me tell you one thing.
Sir, the fanning
he may
of
be
hatred.
A blacklisted guy on your side.
I am on the fanning of hatred, sir. I am simply on the fanning of hatred. I am on why you need to fan hatred and why you evidently change your position. Sir, I'd like to bring to your attention that in July 2014...
Please, let me answer. Arnab, you asked me a question. Let me answer that.
Sir, GD Bakshi and Sushant Sareen haven't come in yet. They want to respond as well.
Yes, they haven't come in.
Let GD Bakshi respond to it.
Bakshi, give me 1 minute.
Bakshi's first comments.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Let General Bakshi speak.
You know, Arnab, the August High Commissioner of Pakistan, you know, he asked a very blaze question today. What's wrong? What's wrong if Hafiz Saeed goes to Jammu and Kashmir? May I kindly list out what is wrong? This is a man who has a $10 million bounty on his head imposed by one of the most allied of allies of Pakistan, the United States. The United Nations Organization, the UNO, has imposed a ban on the organization that he heads. They call it outrightly, without any qualifications, a terrorist organization. So do the United States, the United Kingdom, Russia, the European Union, Australia, Canada, and a whole host of other countries. You know, in the light of all this, Air Marshal Rao, for you to insist that he is an ordinary Pakistani, I think to my mind, makes the world wonder what an ordinary Pakistani, if this is your definition of an ordinary Pakistani citizen, my God, what will your bad people do?
Sir,
what are they going to do?
Sir, let me answer you this.
No, sir.
After the attacks in Mumbai, he was arrested, he was taken to the court. But Indian government failed to provide enough evidence to prove that he was the mastermind.
Sir,
let me tell you. Mr. Chidambaram came to Pakistan, he came without any...
No. The reason is my information is, and we have concrete information of the following points I'd like to share with you today, that what Hafiz Saeed is doing is that he has now been put in charge by the ISI of organizing a hate Indian Army campaign, and he's on the LOC to try and ensure that banners against the Indian Army come out in the valley. Lashkar sympathizers have been put active on the social media, tweeting furiously against the Indian army, attempting to spread a hate campaign. And you know why, Air Marshal Rao? Because of the deep insecurity of the ISI, that the marvelous work done by the Indian army will change the perception of the Indian army in the minds of the Kashmiri people forever. That the people who have been exposed today are people, are paid agents like Yasin Malik, who you occasionally give a financial installment to, people who have made themselves rich and have now been exposed. That those are the people who will lose ground and the Indian army gains ground. And if you're talking about 2611, I'd like to get Sushant Sareen in. The fact of the matter is, sir, that your prosecution lawyers in the 2611 trial have gone on record to say that Yasin Malik has threatened our lawyers that he will kill them. That Yasin Malik will kill the lawyers who are pursuing the 2611 trial. Your Pakistani lawyers demand security against the same man, Hafiz Saeed. So how can you do that? And how can your envoy, at a time when the people of Jammu and Kashmir are grieving their losses, they're grieving their loved ones who they have lost, and grieving for the loss that they have sustained, for homes that have been washed away, for brothers and sisters who have been separated, for parents and children who are lost, for all the Indian Armed Forces personnel. No, sir, let me complete. For all the Indian Armed Forces personnel.
I am for all peace with India.
Sir,
I am an anti-hate person. I don't believe in spreading hate.
Sir,
because we've inherited this since 1947. It is very unfortunate.
Sir,
and unfortunately, none of the governments on both sides has done anything to reduce this hate.
Sir, at a time
and
of
now Indian media is the third element that has come in.
Calamity,
please listen to me.
Why don't you keep this man away from the borders? Why don't you keep this man away from the borders at least now, sir? At least now, sir. Because he's recognized world over as a terrorist.
At this moment, when both nations are seeing floods, there is no reason for anybody to
So why have you unleashed him on the border to spread hate? Why have you done that?
No, I agree with you. I mean, there is no reason for him to be on the border for hate.
Thank you for agreeing with me. Take the man back.
One element with 10 other things.
So why have you
ISI is doing everything that any security agency in the world will do.
Rao, you agree with me, sir, you agree with me that he is a person for whom you have violated United Nations Security Council resolutions. He is a man who you repeatedly
protect. That is your perspective. I mean, for that, my government will probably answer. But let me tell you one thing.
So first of all, you admit, I want to hear that again. I want to hear that again so that all our viewers across India can hear it. And the people of Jammu and Kashmir can hear it as well. That we have a Pakistani panelist called Air Marshal Abid Rao who admits tonight, Sushant Sareen, that the most dangerous and counterproductive thing at a time like this is to unleash Hafiz Saeed on the borders to create more trouble. Sushant Sareen, please. Sorry to come too late. Maroof, Raza, welcome to the debate.
I will talk on a larger perspective. Anything that spreads hatred, anything that flames hatred should be discouraged by both the governments, both the sides, media, and
sir, I remind you,
I can assure you,
the man who spreads hatred is Hafiz Saeed. He was in the POK area talking to a few people 2 days before 2 Indian soldiers were ambushed by the Pakistani army in January 2013 and beheaded. He has held constant anti-India rallies at border valleys constantly. He has been spotted in Pakistani villages near the Rajasthan border where he has distributed cash and cattle with the purpose of convincing locals to join terror groups. You want more evidence, sir? He has been meeting Pakistani army and terror camps along the LOC when ceasefire violations and infiltrations from the Pakistani side have spiked. You want more evidence, sir? All I say to you tonight, sir, keep him away when there is a human tragedy unfolding on our borders.
Arnab,
keep him away at a time like this, sir. Keep him away and tell your envoy to behave himself when he's on Indian soil, not to be so
any kind of hatred that, breeds terrorism.
Sir, that's what. This is not the time.
Personally,
this is not the time. Sushant
This is not the time, agreed.
This is not the time to do this. Sushant Sareen.
Actually, now we have no time for this. It is not a question of this time or any time.
Lip service which the Air Marshal is paying, despite the lip service which the Air Marshal is paying to this against hate speech and all of that, the fact of the matter remains that Hafiz Saeed is actually a model citizen of Pakistan. He is an unalloyed, unabashed, unrepentant jihadist who would love to kill Indians and Hindus. Given half a chance, and he has got half a chance a number of times, he will do to any non-Muslim what the ISIS is doing in Iraq and Syria, and he will be lauded for that, as indeed he was by people like General Musharraf and others, who incidentally, we are also such idiots. We used to laud General Musharraf, and there is enough people out here who still think Musharraf was a man of peace. So I think we need to get this straight, that he is actually a model citizen. He is completely obedient to the Pakistan army, which also adds to his being a model citizen, and he does whatever he is asked to do by the Pakistan army. There is absolutely no doubt in any, or should be any doubt in anybody's mind on that scope. As far as his so-called philanthropic activities are concerned, there is a reason why he is given such a free hand, and I think the poor High Commissioner of Pakistan to India, he is basically a cog in the wheel. He doesn't count for anything, so he was also paying lip service to this whole thing. But the fact of the matter remains that that philanthropic activity is with a certain purpose. For example, when he gives flood relief in places like Sindh and other places, it is with an intention to convert the Hindu population out there, and if they do not convert, then we know what is happening to them, that their daughters are picked up, raped and put in the flesh market, or else these people are forced to seek refuge in India. So that is the basic game plan. And as far as Kashmir is concerned, this utter nonsense that India let the water go, either the Pakistanis don't understand geography, they don't understand climate, and they don't understand weather or understand how water operates. That water will flow. If there's enough water, water will find its own way. There is no way you can block it or no way you can release it. So obviously there is absolutely no hydrological sense as far as the Pakistanis are concerned, and I don't expect anything more from a person like Hafiz Saeed to accuse India of using this water bomb, or that other public face of the Al-Qaeda called the Jamaat-e-Islami to say the same thing. So this is completely par for the course. Let me give you another instance. In the 2010 floods, there was a sneaky thing which the Pakistanis did. The US aid chief had gone to oversee flood relief activity. The Pakistani security forces deliberately took him to a so-called relief camp being run by Hafiz Saeed's men, because they wanted to get some kind of an endorsement for this third-rate terrorist organization from the Americans. But Rajiv Shah, who was the US aid chief, did actually pay some glowing tributes to the relief work being carried out, and then had to suffer the mortification and the embarrassment when he got to know that this was a relief camp being run by a terrorist group. Now, these are the kind of sneaky things these people do, and then for the Air Marshal to come and give us lectures on how much he believes in peace and how much Pakistanis believe in peace, I'm afraid I, for one, don't buy it.
So why would you do this? The question is very simple. Thank you, Sushant, for your intervention. Pretty long, I must say. Maroof, my question to you is, why on earth would, in what circumstances would any civilized nation use a terrorist to manipulate sentiment on the ground of a ravaged people against the people who are helping them the most? Why would you exploit a natural disaster? What, and pardon my straight talk tonight, Abid Rao, what can be more cheap? What can be more cheap than exploiting and manipulating a ravaged local population at a time when they need help, not hate? You know, across India, Abid Rao, people are horrified.
Arnab,
they are horrified at what the Pakistanis are now doing. But we are also horrified and mortified at the response
Maroof
of your envoy, Abdul Basit, who should learn to behave himself when he's on Indian soil.
My take on
Maroof.
Arnab, my take on it is a bit different than Mr. Sareen's. I see there is a historical precedent. Hafiz Saeed moved in much more quickly than the Pakistan army did post the earthquake in 2005, October, if I remember correctly. And in fact, Musharraf and his government were blasted by the local people and the public in Pakistan for not doing enough during the earthquake. Now, why did Hafiz Saeed do that? For two reasons. One is, their basic focus is the Kashmiri and the Kashmiri people and the secession of Kashmir from India, and they try and act as patron saints of all Kashmiri Muslims and say that we will provide you protection against the Indian state. and this is a chance for them to kind of get back into the game and divert the attention from the issues within the local politics of Pakistan, where the Lashkar-e-Toiba has been put on a tight leash and was not being able to play the game they wanted to. Secondly, because they have very close links and they share skeletons in the cupboards with the Pakistan military establishment, they are allowed a free rein and allowed to move around freely in areas which otherwise are clearly under the military's control. So there is certainly a linkage between them, their activities, and a certain degree.
Why with the floods going on at a time like this would they do that?
Arnab, at the time of the floods, they're doing it basically to make the most of public sentiment, and Hafiz Saeed needs to get back to energize his cadres. He has to also, and with the blessings of the Pakistani military establishment, show to the international community that his is a charitable organization. His is an organization which really works for public good. That is the image that they've been trying to play. This is an opportunity available to them to do that. Having said that, the third thing which I want to say is that there are people who don't buy Hafiz Saeed's arguments, and there is somebody who actually on Twitter apparently said that what is the ganja you're smoking when you're saying things like, India is unleashing flood waters. Tell me that, I'd like to smoke the same. So basically people think he's a bit of a joke, anybody who's sensible. Now, as far as Air Marshal Rao is concerned, I have great respect for him amongst the interlocutors from Pakistan that I've been up against. Air Marshal Rao is an honest man. Arnab, my take is, please hear me out, that the Pakistani Air Force and officers like Air Marshal Rao are very different from the hardline men in khaki and Rawalpindi who run the Pakistani establishment. Their Air Force is a very professional outfit, so I do respect the opinion of Air Marshal Rao. Having said that, let me also say that we cannot condone, we cannot allow, and this is a chance for the Pakistan Army to clip his wings and put him back where he should be. Here is a man who has got a bounty on his head from the United States. And he's being allowed to roam free.
He is
being allowed to roam free with their blessings.
And I think
their blessings in area with the army completely controlled. So clearly there is a close linkage between the message the military is trying to give through Hafiz Saeed. And that is the point that is worrying.
Maroof, it will be foolish for us to dismiss Hafiz Saeed as just a joker. He is a dangerous joker.
I'm saying he's enjoying the blessings of the military establishment.
I think he has complete blessings of the military establishment. But I would like to hear from our Pakistani guest tonight.
Absolutely.
I would like to hear from Abid
by now
Rao
he should have been seriously
I want to ask Abid Rao. Abid Rao, tell me, 300,000 people rescued by the Indian Army. You may be from the Pakistan Air Force. Is that not a phenomenal job? Even as a Pakistani, would you not say that rescuing 300,000 people, distributing 3 to 4 tons of biscuits, hundreds of liters of water?
There is no dispute on that.
Is that not an...
Your army must have done a wonderful job, and
including, if I may say so,
our army is doing it here, and our people appreciating that.
Air Marshal, if I may say so, among the people rescued are several Pakistanis themselves who were in Jammu and Kashmir, who have gone on to talk about the brilliant job done by the Indian Army. My question is this, GD Bakshi. If everyone is acknowledging...
You should rather build up your subject on that.
Sir, do we need
there is a goodwill about Indian Army by Pakistanis and Pakistani common man for the Indian people.
Do we need?
I mean, there are.
Sir, then why is
don't need such.
Sir, do we need senseless maniacs like Hafiz Saeed to be let loose at a time like this to spread hate on the border? Isn't that the most cruel thing you can do?
May I just interject here?
Yes, General Bakshi.
There are a lot of...
May I just interject here?
Hatred maniac, there are many such like in India, Bakshi, in Indian politics, in Indian media.
Abid Rao,
please listen to me.
Abid Rao, this is not the time.
We need to settle Marshal, can I kindly? Arnab, there is a method in this man's madness. The last time around, there was an earthquake. He went on his Platonic mission, to rescue the so-called marooned people. I have never seen somebody leeching a tragedy like this, milking it for all it is worth. He made $5 million the last time. And you know what he used those $5 million for? A part of it went to fund 2611. This time, he hopes to rake in $7 million. You know, it's a tear-jerking tragedy for him, by which he can milk the sheikhs in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, $7 million for his forthcoming terror projects. Air Marshal Rao, I ask you, as a soldier to an air warrior, I ask you, Ajmal Amir Qasem, was he an Indian? He was a Pakistani citizen. In front of the cameras, he said, Hafiz Saeed had come to his camp to enthuse him and to motivate him to do what he did, shooting unarmed women and children on a railway platform. How low can you get?
Sushant,
how low can we get? I mean,
Sushant,
there is a, we all have to fight.
And why?
But there is a way that we fight.
And legitimately,
why are we choosing these methods?
No, legitimately, GD Bakshi, I would also say, what is our government doing? That we allow a man like Abdul Basit to actually support Hafiz Saeed on our soil, a man, Hafiz Saeed, who talks about India being responsible for the floods and unleashing war aggression on Pakistan. I mean, there is not a whimper, not a response from the government of India to this situation, Sushant, Sareen. I mean, we seem to be taking it on the chin repeatedly. And Abdul Basit, when he smirks, when he says that about Hafiz Saeed, the diplomacy of provocation is the most despicable act at a time of human tragedy such as this. It is just despicable. No, but we aren't really taking him on, are we, Sushant, Sareen?
No, I wouldn't. I'll come to that a little later. I just want to clarify a couple of things. I think, you know, when Maroof says that Hafiz Saeed was the first guy off the block when the earthquake happened, there was another reason for that. Number one, partly because his entire infrastructure, terror infrastructure, was largely located in POK, so he was first off the block. Number two, and this we must understand very clearly, Hafiz Saeed and the entire Lashkar-e-Taiba / Jamaat-ud-Dawa organization is virtually becoming a state within a state. Apart from the ISI and the army, which functions like a state within a state, so too does these terrorist organizations spearheaded by the Jamaat-ud-Dawa / Lashkar-e-Taiba. So they operate like a state within a state. They have, in a sense, much more resources than even the normal state machinery can bring to bear, because the normal state machinery, state administration, has become virtually dysfunctional inside Pakistan. I think we need to be clear on that. One point where I will disagree with what Maroof is saying, and this is with all due respect to Air Marshal Rao, I don't know him personally, but the fact of the matter remains that to distinguish that there are the Pakistan Air Force or the Pakistan Navy is not affected by this virus of radical Islam, the way the Pakistan Army is, I think is absolutely wrong. In fact, there are probably more radicals who have been discovered in the Pakistan Air Force and the Pakistan Navy, as is evidenced by the latest attack which has taken place on this naval ship in the Karachi dockyards. There are more radicals in these technical services than perhaps even in the Pakistan Army, if you take a pro-rata kind of a comparison. So I think Maroof is probably wrong on that one. But other than that, I think that the messages
but the discussion right now, let's not go off
so
track.
That this kind of a nonsense
the discussion
is
right
not allowed
now
to be repeated.
The discussion right now is very simple. I don't want to get into whether the Pakistani army is linked, isn't linked, whether Hafiz Saeed is a state within a state. We all know one fact, Sushant, Sareen, that Hafiz Saeed is on the payrolls of the ISI. He looks upon these opportunities to get the maximum amount of funds. In this case, General Bakshi is right. He has targeted a collection of $7 million in this particular case, which is the kind of money that Hafiz Saeed wants to make. And all those, including his paymasters, know that this is a syndicated service that he is paid for. If there are sensible voices in Pakistan, why aren't they speaking out now? Why aren't they saying, at least at this point of time, let us spare hatred. Let us send Hafiz Saeed to a lunatic asylum where we can check. Let us send Hafiz Saeed to a lunatic asylum to check whether he actually is mentally in order, because he talks about water aggression by India at the time of the floods.
Great interest to me. Sir, I am a fond reader of Indian writers. I want to know their opinion about things. Sir, and the most recent book is by Mr. Jaswant Singh, India at Risk. opened my eyes on a lot of accounts. On which
sir,
I had another
I request you today. I request you today, sir.
When I say a man of peace, it doesn't mean that Air Force has trained me this way or the army has not. That is not at all an issue.
Air Marshal, remember this. This man, I have his pictures, by the way. He's there along the border. I'm going to put them on air now so we know what we are talking about. Sir, this man is a Pakistani national who is the chief of a terror group, recognized by the United States of America as an alliance for the Lashkar-e-Toiba in 2014, recognized by the United Nations Security Council as an alliance of the Lashkar-e-Toiba in December 2008, by the admission of your own lawyers in 2611, threatens lawyers from pursuing the 2611 terror attacks, recognized world over as a terrorist. Today he says India is responsible for the floods that have ravaged all of Kashmir. I think, sir, with respect, you should restrain this man, you should hold him back, and you should put him in lockup. He's far too dangerous for your own good. Thank you very much for joining me on debate number 2 on the Newshour Debate.